Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's question and answer session with Mr. Chris Palmer and my good self. I am back in my office today as a one-off. I'll be back to the normal place next week, but yeah, have a wee day in the office just in case you're like, what the hell's the background? But yeah, so thank you very much for everyone coming. Let us know who is there. Also, the show is sponsored by odys.global. If you want to get accepted and get your £100 bonus, make sure you do use the link below. And yeah, so I've got a couple of things actually I want to talk about before we jump into the questions. So if you go to my website, which is craigcampbellseo.com, on the top right-hand corner of the website, you will see free SEO course. Now, if you tap on that, I am launching a free SEO course on the 5th of January, and it's going to be completely free for the first 2,000 people that sign up. Then I'm going to start charging people full price, and it's going to be completely free for the first 2,000 people. So if you really want everything, and it's going to be in-depth SEO, YouTube, AdWords, buying and selling websites, Facebook ads. It's going to go everything in depth. It will be the top right-hand corner of my website just now. You can sign up and grab your slot. Other than that, what is new with you this week, Chris? What's been happening? I know you've got like new equipment and shit in the background there, but anything else been happening?
I mean, I've had a busy project I was working on for a good friend of mine, I guess. I don't know what you would call it. A friend of my client. I don't know. It's my friend, really. But that was a 3-day project. We were getting slapped around quite literally pretty bad. And he gave me the task. He's like, Chris, we need to nip this in the bud right away. He's like, I thought you were the best, Chris. What's going on here? He's like, look at this location, this location, this location. I'm like, oh, man. So it took me 3 days, and I came up with a strategy, a game plan, and that's about it. So, I had to take a little break, 3 days off the YouTube for a while, 3 days, a long time.
Yeah, it seems like a long time, and you're just like, shit, I've not posted anything for 3 days. I'm bad. I do that regular. I take the weekend off and then see like Chris has been bashing out lives in the middle of the night and Saturday night, Sunday night, whatever,
Well, I'm working, and then I'm like, why don't I go live? I still have energy. Why not?
Yeah, it's fucking madness. But fair play. If you're on lockdown or whatever, or if you're just fucking crazy, and then do it.
That's probably it.
Yeah. But guys, we are doing question and answer, so enough about us ranting about how good we are. Let us know who's there, what your questions are. We have Paul Hogden.
Hey, Paul.
We have Fred Hutterson.
That's a new face.
Stephen Shaprio, which I like that name. I had a bit of a tongue tie the other day when I was talking about Stephen Shaprio, but yeah, cool name. SEO Madmen is probably the right description. Amir Kashiba, good to see you. T.S. Randy Rodet, and we've got a whole lot of other people. Terry Power, Ken City is telling us we're both his favourites. He tells everyone that now.
I know.
Fucking honestly, Ken, sort it out. Andy Woolley is liking the extra 30 minutes. This is a one-off, the late 30 minutes. That was my fault. Mark Lawrence is in the bath watching.
Interesting. Interesting place to watch.
So, and Javid Hakimi, Itamar Blower, Scott G, Gizmo Plans, and all that stuff. So, guys, Masood and Forbes, give us your questions. We're all good, and we'll kick off. The first question, I put a link to my free SEO course. Remember, it's not coming out to the 5th of January. The info's not dropping until then, but you can get your space now. But anyway, TS has the first question. So we've had a week or so. What is your thoughts on that recent December update, Chris? What are you seeing?
I think it just played. I mean, I talked about this briefly, it's always one of two things, right? Content or links. But for this particular one, I think that it has more to do with they're just moving up more authoritative sites, it seems like, because a lot of the properties where I'm getting smacked around on, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to talk about updates. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not Google. I have no idea. It seems to me like I mean, if it's a newer property, it just looks like a shift to me. Like I don't know. I could say one thing, it could be another. I have no idea.
I think let it settle down a little bit longer. Yeah. I think people have over the weekend said to me, yeah, shit's starting to come back to close to where it was. And I also had someone else say, shit, I thought I got away with not being hit by the update. And last night they checked the rankings and I'm like, fuck. Right. But what I would say to anyone is when Google is doing these updates, shit shuffles around for a week, 2 weeks maybe. And the way I see it, this is just my perception, when they take all the filters off, that's when everyone goes, you see fucking shit websites ranking and all that stuff. And then you start to place these other filters back on and you still see bits of movement. And they're probably halfway through putting these filters back on and shit just shuffles around a little bit. And everyone's fucking, oh, it's this, it's that, it's that. Give it time, let it settle, and then just get better links and better content. Job done.
It's funny you say that, the shift, because my little brother, he called me, I think yesterday, and he's like, Chris, look at my site. Look at the rankings. I'm like, well, there was just an update, right? His name's Alex. It's like, Alex, there was an update, buddy. I don't know. But yeah, it's funny you say that. Like, you'll see crap just boom rise, but yeah, it usually levels back out. Sorry I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
Randy Roday's just given a thumbs up to ODYS, who sponsor the channel. He recently did buy a domain name and says they're awesome to work with.
Good.
Even Shaprio saying Chris looks so innocent.
I am.
Come on. Look at him. He looks like a criminal.
No. I don't even have a tattoo.
Man, tattoos are not criminals. I've never been in trouble before, but I'm covered. But,
there's the criminal. No.
Yeah. Mark Flanagan, good to see you. Hope you enjoyed my very brief 15-minute presentation to a networking group in your area. Quotes Villa, should I send traffic to my Web 2.0 properties, Chris?
1,000%. Absolutely. Especially if it's in the line, meaning it's in the line, you're using it as a buffer. Yes. The answer, the short answer is, and the best answer is yes, you should be. Yeah. But you could be a little bit more risky with that type of traffic, but why something you control? Why wouldn't you just be pushing? Maybe Facebook works well. You could push authoritative traffic through there, but I think you could be more risky, your bot traffic, but sending traffic through there, definitely 100%.
Interesting. No, as I say, traffic always helps move the needle in a lot of instances. GMBs, Web 2.0s, pages, YouTube videos, podcasts, everything. Traffic helps massively. Link Juice, you guys, I've got a question to get you started. What is your fresh link building process?
Fresh? Well, there's, when we're talking about link building, I can't think of anything fresh, I don't know, Craig. I'm going to have to ping pong that one to you. I mean, do you have anything fresh, or has it been the water? You have something.
Just that word fresh got me there. It's just the fact you're trying to fucking deflect onto me. I'll see it. Yeah. What I normally do to Chris is ping it right onto him. Yeah, Chris, do you want to go with this one? And I have no clue how to answer it. But fresh link building is not in any way fresh. Link building has been around for years. And for me, some of the oldest stuff actually works the best. Like bait and switch method for link building. All of the kind of old favorites still work very well. So, or does he mean a fresh website? if that's what you mean, link juice, let me know and we can answer it. If it's what's your link building process like for a fresh website, because there is no fresh link building ideas. We're all stealing each other's, coining new phrases, making it sound like something it's not. And yeah, there's nothing fresh about that. It's just link building was going to be what I'm going to say. Terry Power, ADA website compliance and local SEO expert. And all-round nice guy is Terry, very nice chap. Thoughts on buying domains that have traffic? Would you do that, Chris?
Yes, absolutely. I think that a site that's already indexed and already receiving traffic is going to already give you that jump start you're looking for. So if we're going to buy a domain, I want to buy one that's indexed and getting traffic. Absolutely, Terry. And I'm sure you already knew that.
Yeah. Why not? If that option's available, I take it 100% of the time. Sometimes it's not available and you've just got to work with what's in front of you. But buying something nice with traffic's always good. Opinions about niche relevant 301 to money website. How safe? Have you got good results?
I've had mixed results. I've had mixed results and in different time frames. You know, like I remember when I first learned years ago, I guess it was years ago, you know, everybody was saying how fast it was going to happen. But I've had properties where it took it, you know, I thought, that didn't even do anything. So, I mean, I think that testing the domains first, having it within, maybe launching a page, double checking to make sure that, you know, our site's reindexing or pages reindexing when you first get the site, and then 301 it. Because sometimes it can be safe, sometimes it's not. It's hard to judge that. So test it before you just 301 it to your site is what I'm getting at. Hopefully
to add to that, Stephen, you know, the reason there is a process before you do the 301 redirect is it could have been spammed to death before, and it's just burnt. You know, some spammers got it. Someone's stolen all the content and it's got indexed, and you know you're trying to repurpose what was there, and it's not getting in the index because of that. There's a whole combination of things that potentially could have happened that's going to result in that 301 redirect not having the desired impact. It's not a case of the strategy not working. It's whether that website is clean. Does a 301 redirect pass link juice? 100% it does if it's done properly. But that process that's done before, obviously to check it out, you may potentially also power that old website up, you know, maximize the power and everything else you can on there, and then do the 301 redirect. So it's a very safe strategy. Some people say it doesn't move the needle, most likely because they've not done the process and they've just redirected it and it's, you know, just been a shit domain. But what we need to do is make sure that that domain is liked by Google in order for it to pass any of that backlink juice over to your website. So if it's not the index, if the pages are not indexing, it may have good metrics, but if it's not getting traffic and it's not indexed, it's not passing any juice as far as I'm concerned. So hopefully that overall combined helps you.
Well, and as a second thought too, just because and I that's a funny statement though there at the end there, Craig. Just because a site is not in the search results doesn't mean that it doesn't pass power.
Oh, it might not, but if I want links, if I want a link, I would want it from a website that has some traffic. That is what I want, you know. But if a site's not in the index, does it pass power? Absolutely not. If it's in the index and doesn't rank that well, and it doesn't get that much traffic, does it pass power? Yeah, it probably does. But essentially, what you want is to aim the bar higher. You want websites, links from websites that have links. That have traffic and rankings. That is what you're trying to achieve. Now, you could obviously argue all day, I've done a single test, and you know, links that are not indexed, pages that are not indexed, pass power, and all that fucking shit. You know, you could argue that stuff to the cows come home. At the end of the day, I wouldn't go that deep into it. I just want something from links and traffic and rankings.
That makes I get that a lot though. Because people, you know, I think just because the search results aren't necessarily the index though. And I'm sure you agree with that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
People say, oh, my page isn't in the index. Well, how do you know that they didn't crawl it? You know? I have somebody banging on my door. Give me 1 second here.
Oh,
I might
so yeah, obviously, because you're in page 20 or whatever, you're still in the index. So, it's not all about having page 1 rankings or page 2 rankings or anything like that. Chris is right in what he says. Could be page 12, 14, whatever, you want to, as long as it's indexed, it's going to pass some form of power. But as I say, I like to try and give it a little bit more, try and, squeeze as much juice out of it as we possibly can, I think is the best way to do it. Mark Flanagan saying this update is more content fresh. Al Delta 1 tattoos equals total criminals. So thank you very much for that. Surely God, Chris looks like more of a criminal than me. Honestly, let us know in the chat who looks more like a criminal.
That's an interesting question. Who looks like more of a criminal here?
Jeremy Den Hartog. When starting a new website, would you start out with a long form pillar article first and then a bunch of supporting shorter articles to use to link to the pillar article, or do the shorter articles first? Just wondering if I should focus on getting as much content onto the new website as possible before anything else. So I'm going to stop you right there, Jeremy. It's not a race to see who gets the most content. It's a race to do things in the best possible fashion. Now, what you can do is make you can use a tool like Keyword Cupid, for example, which will show you clusters of keywords. So again, look at what the main power page is going to be, whether it be LinkedIn automation, right? That's going to be the power page. You could then have a whole bunch of supporting articles like how to reach out on LinkedIn or whatever. They're not about, LinkedIn automation, but you can automate and all that kind of stuff. So using Keyword Cupid allows you to find out clusters of keywords that potentially have the big power post, and then supporting articles that might have 5 other little separate search terms that allow you to internally link all of them to your main power page. And that's a good structure. But don't think about, I have to get, X amount, hundreds of content on there. It's just a natural progression. One pillar post might have 5 supporting articles. One pillar post, like I've got SEMrush tutorial as a big pillar post, and I've got loads of stuff for the other tools within SEMrush, like the site auditing tool, like the keyword gap analysis, backlink gap analysis, and those are all separate blog posts that all link to the SEMrush tutorial. So the SEMrush tutorial page is effectively my pillar page, and a whole bunch of supporting articles that all internally link to show that is the kind of structure I've got. So what would you say to that, Chris?
I would agree with it. I mean, what do you want me to say? I mean, you just explained it. I mean, what's there to add, Craig? I mean, you just literally laid it out there. So
does it matter then? So does it matter whether you do the pillar article first or the shorter articles first? Is that something you've ever tried? What would you do? I'm assuming it's going to be pillar post first.
I mean, the top ranking article is first, but I mean, if I'm looking to build something out, I would have it all. I personally would launch it all at one time. That's me. And take care of the interlinking, take care of the SEO portion of it. That's what I would do. So, I mean, I don't know if that's right or wrong, but that's the process that I would take.
Yeah, I think just as I'm not going to imagine that anything would happen negatively if you launched the shorter articles first. But what's the point? Do the big one first and then do it. It just makes common sense to do it that way, I think, in my opinion anyway. But I don't think you would have any kind of problems either way. So there you go. Andy Woolley, what do you convey within your SEO reports that demonstrates value and the normal BS?
I mean, I only look at 3 different things. So what's the organic traffic increase? How many new keywords are they getting? And then the increase or the value of the new traffic. I mean, that's what I'm looking at. I'm simple too. I mean, I use these Gantt charts. I work with the same guys, so they know how I am. So that's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm tracking. That's my KPIs.
I think those KPIs are probably in line with what I do as well, or did do. Keywords, rankings, and conversions. I'm not interested in telling the client what I'm doing or committing to, you know, a lot of fluff or suggesting that I'm going to do 5 blog posts a month or whatever it may be, because that is setting yourself up for failure. I think a lot of people go down that route and they're having to do a lot of box ticking exercises that you don't really have to do, because, you know, if your rankings, traffic and keywords and everything else are going up, then you're going to make more money and get more leads. So keep it simple, simplify that stuff. No idea why people make it more difficult than it needs to be. And I get that obviously if you're charging astronomical rates, not that I'm suggesting you do, Andy, but you know, you sometimes maybe feel that you have to justify that cost by giving them all this waffle. But in my opinion, I've worked with various different clients, small businesses, big businesses, and to be honest, most of them just say, you know what, I don't even fucking know what half of that says. Like, I don't even read it. I just want the bottom line to see everything's all right and everything's heading in the right direction. And I think a lot of your mind, or not yours personally, Andy, but everyone's mind's just like, oh shit, I need to try and say some more shit and make myself, you know, more accountable. And then they start fucking it up for themselves, because people can see through that, to be fair, and they can tell you're waffling a lot of shit, and it's just hard work and a waste of time and energy. So, yeah, keep it simple.
Very simple. Yep.
Stephen Shaprio, opinion on Income School Project 24. I've heard they believe in building no links and ranking without off-page. I wonder if that's possible. I haven't experienced anything great without link building. So what's your opinion on that, Chris?
Oh, that's a funny guy. I mean, aside from my personal thoughts on this particular brand, it's irrelevant. Their process, you know, if you want to wait an entire year to rank keywords, then you can build out pages and rank for keywords, and it'll take you 6 months to a year. So their terminology or their practice can work. But I mean, if I'm going to build content, I mean, I want to build links to it. And then I've actually seen them, they'll, at the end of the day, they are building links, because what they're trying to do is create the pieces of content, and then they'll show within their trainings or whatnot that it naturally acquires links, right? So creating content and building links to content that matters is just part of a better process. So is what they're teaching, can it work? Sure. But I think building links is probably going to get you there faster.
So I'm going to share my screen. So there is a month's revenue for one website. There's a month's revenue for another website, same month. Now, I'm also going to show you growth of a website. This is just a slide deck that I had for something else. Growth of a website. Now, you're not going to get that level of growth without link building, as far as I'm concerned. I think what these guys are saying is absolute fucking cobblers. You know, listen, SEO has been the same from day one. Link building and content. Now, I don't care who says what. I have got friends who own the biggest link building agencies in the world. And these friends tell me that the whitest of white hat guys that claim they don't build links actually do. They're fucking worse than the bad guys. So this is nonsense. Can you rank a page without off page? Can you rank? Yes. Long tail keywords, middle of the road keywords. Are you going to rank for anything relatively competitive with just on page alone? Absolutely not a fucking hope in hell. It does not work. It is impossible. A link is a link. Google needs links. It needs ways to establish. The algorithm needs to understand a whole bunch of stuff. And link building is still one of those things that has to come into play. Now, these white hat guys or Income School or whatever, I'm not sure who these people are or anything like that. So I'm not talking about them personally. But There's guys out there who do PR. Why do you do PR? They don't call it link building. They're calling, oh, we got PR. It's still building links. They get, I'm submitting to some directives. I'm completely white hat. You're still building links.
That's right.
No matter what way you do it, you're building links. So forget about the BS. Forget about the white hat or the black hat or anything else. They may not openly admit that they're buying niche edits, doing Web 2.0s, guest posts, blah, 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 because they've got their own business to protect and they're pretending that they don't do this stuff. Links do work. I have fucked around in SEO for that many years. In my first 5 years of SEO, I believed in all this white hat nonsense. I was very poor. I was barely making any money. Nothing was really happening. I was charging people and there wasn't great results. This link building really is the single biggest thing you can do to make more money. That's all I'm going to say. I rant over. That's it. Don't know who Income School Project 24 are, but they're lying to you.
They'll strike you down. You can't. Don't use their name. They'll strike you down, boy. Yeah, they're moving on.
Yeah. I did, so Prince WP SEO, I did 301 redirecting for over 1 month. I have seen any positive changes to my money. One redirect or multiple. Is it a month? Are you going to see? This is a question, Chris. How long does it take you to see an impact from a 301 redirect? Is it a month? Is it 2 or 3 months? When do you see it?
I've seen it at all different rates. As an example, because I've shared it, I mean, I think it took about 45 days to even see anything start to move or just shift. I 301'd a congressman's site to a property. I think I shared it publicly. And it took like 45 days to see like something going on. Now, I've done it before, though, and it was a lot faster. So I think it varies. I really do. I think it varies.
I think it varies, but also if it's only one redirect you've done, it might just not be enough to notch the whole website up. Was it a good or bad domain? Did you follow the right process? I would probably always say between 30 and 45 days. I would be, give it at least that and then start to have a look and see if it, has moved anything. Certainly wouldn't be looking at my money. I would be looking at my rankings and traffic. There's other fundamentals that could be massively off there that are holding you back, that's going to impact your revenue. So
and to add to that, as far as impacting keywords and traffic and rankings, you need to be very, very selective. If you're going to do a 301 redirect, you need to analyze that link profile or the anchor profile, because you're going to start magically be getting those keywords. So be careful when you're selecting. Like, check those anchor profiles, make sure it's super generic or whatever when you're buying it. Don't just look at referring domains, power, is it getting a little traffic? Like, look at those anchors, because that's, those anchors are now what your site is about. So be careful.
Yeah. Check that stuff out. Very wise words. Alt Delta or Al Delta one. Is it ideal to turn keywords you rank for into links anchor text? I was told this wasn't. So I'm going to guess here you're talking about on page and making those keywords the anchor text. That's what I'm taking from that, Chris. What are you taking from that?
I mean, that's more comprehension than I had, because I was just wondering, what does he mean? I assume that that's what he's getting at. Is it ideal to turn keywords that I want to rank for into anchor text on the page? Well, if I have a page that I want to rank, let's go back to that pillar statement, right? I have a page I want to rank, and I have my supporting articles. The supporting articles are going to have contextual links that are linking to the pillar page of the same or a variation of the keyword to that pillar page, right? That's my anchor text. So if that's what you're asking, then yes, you should. It's up to you, though.
Vary it up. Do not be spammy. Do not, like for my example, SEMrush was the pillar post and all of the other stuff was related to SEMrush. Did I use the internal links all as SEMrush? Absolutely not. You want to mix that shit up. So just mix it up as best you can. Stephen Shaprio, I'm thinking to go all black hat and try that image credit thingy. What should I do if I get caught? I've caught one person using the same technique and got a homepage link from him after I scared him. So obviously the image credit thing, if you get caught, you probably wouldn't want to use your own name if you're going to be reaching out. It's all about personas and stuff like that. But if you get caught, you got a link somewhere and someone came back to you in 3 months' time and said, hey man, you duped my guy into doing it, just blame a VA. Blame some other guy. We're not under investigation from the FBI here for, big crimes and stuff like that. It's some fairly mild thing, so I wouldn't be too scared. Obviously, it's probably illegal, not a nice thing to do, not morally right to do that, but it's SEO for in all reality. So I wouldn't be worried too much if I get caught. Just blame someone else. Or, who they going to complain to? Block them. So there you go. Don't worry about it too much. That's all I'd say. On the black hat, going all black hat. Don't go too crazy in black hat. It's using the right methods at the right time and using them sparingly. Don't go all shady, because that can lead to problems, especially if you're inexperienced. I'm pretty sure Chris does shady stuff, but it's within moderation. You try to do as much of the good stuff as you can, and then pull the other stuff into play. It's like, when it comes to cooking, I think, it's having the right ingredients and using the right mix of stuff, and I think a lot of people get black hat, and it's probably like, some top chef just pouring a whole bunch of fucking chili powder right into something he shouldn't. It's just not going to be a good mix. Right. Maybe someone said put a light dashing of that on there, and he's just went all out and just went woof right in there, and it's all falls apart. So really bad analogy that, though. It really was poor, but there you go. Rafael Santos, good to see you. Mikhail, good to see you as well. Richard Conover is asking, just leave the domain part via the registrar to see if it indexes. Do you want to answer that one, Chris?
I wouldn't park. You can do an add-on and see, but I wouldn't park. I would just launch. Do you do it a different way, or do you use the add-on?
I just put a WordPress website up, just a standard template, and just take the content from the Wayback Machine, keep the same URL structure, and see what happens. I don't really, I'm not concerned about the design of it. I'm just there to see if those, old URLs get picked up and the content gets picked up and where they go, and then work it from there. Certainly, I would never leave it part to a domain registrar. I don't see any value in doing that. So hopefully that helps you, Richard.
No, I'd launch it.
Yeah. Quotes Villa, ranking with pillow links.
Pillow links or foundational links, filler links aren't going to lead to necessarily ranking. I think that the term pillow links or foundational links are there when, say, you're buying a domain, or say that you're doing a spree of link building, right, to get your velocity up. It really comes into play when we're trying to adjust our anchor text ratios. That's when pillow links, or whatever you want to call it, comes into play. So it's not for ranking. It's for adjusting anchor text profiles.
Yeah. Swag bags for all from Andy Woolley. Rafael Santos, did you try SERP Clicks, Search SEO, SERP Empire, CTA, Traffic Sellers? I've tried them all. Absolutely tried them all. And they weren't effective. They once were effective, and people still think they're effective. But the reality is, I think the IPs that these guys use and the setups are just not good. With CTR, it's all about the proxies you've got, and people are using the likes of CTR Booster and using, whether they use packet stream or mobile proxies or rotating residential proxies. There's much debate on now what is the best type of proxies to use. That is where we're at, and these, other places, I've just not seen any kind of results at all from any of the kind of main big ones. And I've heard others say they've had success with them in the past. You've got CrowdSearch and .me and all that stuff as well. I've just personally not and I've tried these all this year where I've been big into CTR and not had great results. So that's why I do what I do, and mix it up with a bit of paid traffic and Microworkers and everything else that's part of my CTR mix.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried SERP clicks, and you initially do get a bump. I mean, I've seen initially, but the issue is you got to keep running the pay. Like, if I'm going to keep paying, why wouldn't I go to Microworkers? Why wouldn't I just set up my own? Like, I don't, it's super temporary, even if it does work. I mean, it's been a while. I mean, I tested that stuff out 90 days ago. So I would just steer clear, go to Microworkers.
Josie Claudio, never trust someone with an accent or who wears a hoodie. Chris.
Hey, buddy, it is snowing. Excuse me. It is snowing.
Chris does have an accent. He's obviously got that American accent, and he does have a hoodie. But I think he's quite a nice guy. So I'm only kidding. I know you're talking about me. But yeah, he's only kidding. But good to see you, Jose or Josie. Stephen Shaprio. Chris, you kind of look like the lead from Prison Break. That is so cool. I've actually never seen Prison Break. Probably should check it out. Sad Arshad, in your experience, which is more important for a website? Strict internal linking based on a silo structure, or internal linking based on user experience and relevance? I've heard and seen mixed results. So, Chris, what is your best? Which is more important? Strict internal linking structure based on a silo structure, or internal linking based on user experience and relevance?
Whoa. Guys are just overthinking this, man. Like, contextual links internally to pages that matter and I want to rank. All right. Links that are, if I'm having a silo structure and it's going to supporting content, created in the footer or sidebar. All right. Things I really want to rank contextual, other stuff, footer, sidebar. I mean, all this extra stuff, it's not how I do it. I'm very, very simplistic with it. I'm not sure. Maybe you have something better than me, Craig.
I mean, I think probably he is overcomplicating it. I know what pages I want to power up in my website, and I do not internally link based on a silo structure at all. It's not what I look at. I'm looking at what pages are getting the most traffic and bringing me in the most revenue, and using that as the deciding factor as what is my main power pages. And from there, I'm going to work around that and catch all the long tails and all the other variations and everything else and internally link to them. So it's relatively simple and straightforward for me. I think, thinking about silo structures and, that's just mind-blowing stuff. Again, try and keep it simple, man. Just go with the flow.
Faster. What's the fastest, easiest way to get to the answer? That's what I'm going to do. That's for me. Yeah. Don't think about it. Just go.
Mikhail is asking, what do you mean with your sitemap embed posting the other day? Or do you want to keep this secret sauce for yourself for a while?
Well, that was just something I was playing with. This was a brief message within a very private Facebook group. So, I mean, that's kind of, I mean, think about it. Sitemap, iframed embeds. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't even think I posted that. I don't know. That was within the Facebook group. Like, come on, guys.
We'll quickly move on. Stephen Shaprio, what is the highest amount you flipped a website for? Must have been an achievement. What's your highest website flip, Chris?
Zero. I've never done that. I'd love to get to that point, but I've never sold anything that substantial other than $100, $200. Nothing. That's not I wish one day.
Yeah. One day he will get there. He has got the ball rolling, and that is the next in his targets. The highest amount I've flipped a website for, I mean, a lot of the good websites that I've got that earn big money, I ain't flipped. That is not something that I've flipped. I've flipped websites for a few $100,000.
Jeez.
That's relatively easy. You're getting 35 times your money, so getting websites up to earning, $5,000 a month or whatever is relatively easy. It's not that hard, and you can flip them on for 150, 200,000. Anything over and above that, I think I wouldn't be selling. I don't know many guys there are guys who flipped websites for millions and millions of pounds. You just look at Empire Flippers, and there's guys out there selling websites for millions of pounds. But the way I see it is, I'm 40. I've still got another, 15, 20 years of working life, probably. Hopefully, maybe not as long as that. But the big websites that I've got, I am not interested in flipping at this stage for big money. I could flip websites tomorrow if I wanted to for millions of pounds, but that monthly residual income is more important to me, and it allows me to finance more stuff and get my finger in more pies. So when I do buying and selling websites, they're normally what the process for me is going in and grabbing those websites for 10, 20 or 30 grand. They're earning, potentially up to $1,000 a month. And I'm going to take them from $1,000 a month to $5,000 a month, and then I'm going to flip them on because I get bored. Or I may see a website that I pay 30 grand for, change the monetization model, such as getting it off of Amazon affiliate and going over to a private affiliate. By that single change alone, I can double or treble the revenue, which basically means I can double or treble my 20 or 30 grand. So I'm not a guy. I've got a couple of decent websites, but I'm not a guy that would go in and spend 500 grand on a website and try and scale it up and flip it for a million or 5 million or whatever. I'm going in and looking for weak opportunities, and a whole bunch of them at, say between 10 and 50 grand. I wouldn't go any higher than that. That's just my business model, and taking a 50 grand website and selling it for 250 is good money. But it's the same as gambling in life. I think, I could spend 20 grand on a website here, 10 grand on a website there, and another 2 grand on another website there. I normally have a couple of these kind of things in the background going at one time. And that, for me, spreads the risk, because some of them don't always go the right way for one reason or another. Or you buy a website and Amazon cut the commissions on it, and you're like, fuck. So I've not flipped a website for millions, if that's what you're expecting to hear. Not many people have. The ones that I do have or potentially could sell for that price, I'm sitting on them for a long time yet, because they're worth more to me that way. So hopefully that answers.
Yeah, if I got something that was working, bringing in 200 a month or something, I wouldn't sell it.
No. Why would you do that? It gives you a better lifestyle, safe money coming in rather than all this fuckery that goes on in this industry. So, yeah. Andy Woolley agreeing, no step-by-step approach. Rates definitely increased in the last 2 years. Cheers, guys. Good to hear that, Andy. Stephen Stewart, bang, gives you a head start. So you've given an answer to Terry Power. News GR or GS, new GSR. Is there a Microworker strategy that works in getting GMBs to rank higher? Do you use Microworkers for local stuff, Chris?
I do. I think that it's a matter of sending in the right traffic and how they're finding you in enough volume. So I do use it, but I think it's the same as an organic strategy for a website. You're finding the keywords that you want to rank for, and then you're sending in traffic for it. If you want a better breakdown, I'll have something for you coming out pretty soon.
I think for me, to give an answer on that, the reason I use mixed stuff and potentially if I was doing GMBs, I would be sending Facebook traffic. I would be looking to get in local Facebook groups organically. I would be looking at Gumtree, and I would be looking at various other ways to get hyper-local traffic. And you can be semi-local with Microworkers, but it depends on what you're using Microworkers for. So, if it's the engagement side of it and different people on it, that can work. But I think you just really need to try and test these different things and see what works for you. Because for me personally, if it was me, I'd be sending in some real local traffic as well. I think that's hugely important when it comes to GMBs.
Not all the traffic has to be localized, though.
No, I'm not saying I've not, but as a guy, for YouTube, for example, right, I've got a process, so I don't do a huge amount of local, but if when it comes to YouTube, I use CTR Booster for watch time retention. I use Microworkers for, all different, because it doesn't really matter in YouTube. It doesn't have to be local. And I'm sure, I've got my own mix, and I'm sure you've got your own mix for GMBs where not all traffic has to be super local. You're looking for volumes, get that, those figures up. So that is potentially important. As I say, I don't do a huge amount of GMBs just on my own shit. But, and again, I don't really play with Microworkers for the local stuff personally. I would just, do more on, I would also use the likes of email marketing, push messages, and various other things to get that volume. But everyone's got different little quirks. And as Chris says, no one says that it's only local traffic that has to hit that GMB. I would be sending some to it, but as I say, you can't dispute if someone's doing it successfully, it doesn't always have to be local. So there you go.
Agree.
Chris does a lot more GMBs than me, so take what he says is probably the right answer, and me as the guy that just does it now and again. Audrey Watkins, 2-man shop, busting our butt and are moderately successful. All of you guys use VAs. Tips for what I can use them for to take us to the next level.
I would like to have more VAs help me, but for me, I can give this tip. You have to be very particular with the list and exactly the process that you want them to do, because what you'll find is any little thing that they can do wrong, they will. So, and you have to come to the realization that they're not you, and they're going to do things maybe a little differently. So what I found is being a little bit more lenient and make sure you break down the process. But I'm going through this process now, and it's, I don't know. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong places, but it's difficult.
I think clever use of VAs, as you say, Chris, is breaking those processes down. Don't give them too much to do. Don't make them think too much. They can follow processes really easy, and it comes down to your process. So if you say, go do this and then do that, they can follow that, no problem. But when you start having to use common sense and stuff like that, that's where they start to fall apart. So yes, you need to basically segment everything down into individual processes and basically get these VAs to do all of the grunt work, the shit that you hate. Depends on what you do, but you can get VAs to do pretty much anything. Scraping websites, whatever. I don't know what you do on a day-to-day basis, creating GMBs, whatever it might be. Give them the process and they can follow it, no problem. And for me, it's about getting them to do the grunt work, which allows me to actually be creative and run the business and do some of the cooler stuff that I enjoy doing, rather than maybe writing content or whatever it might be. So hopefully that helps you. Jeremy Den Hartog, thanks for your help. You both do an amazing job providing value. Thanks very much, Jeremy. Gizmo Plans. I bought an age domain from ODYS and won the snippet on the first article posted within 3 weeks. So good. Keep that going, and hopefully you get a lot more. Guy Fox is asking, how do you estimate results for clients? Even more so, can you? I was often asked this question before onboarding.
I don't. The only thing, I don't guarantee anything. The only thing that I can semi-guarantee is that you're going to see an increase. I don't give them guarantees on keywords. I give them traffic projections. I give them, what's the word I'm looking for? I set their expectations very low. So if we do overperform, we're doing a lot better. So I don't guarantee anything ever. That's me though.
Yeah. I mean, listen, massively failed when working with clients in the past. And it's the reason I don't work with clients, because the clients typically have too much expectation and they expect so much more, and they want you to say, well, if you spend $1,000, I can make you 10. And I've seen other SEOs saying, well, your average cost per conversion is going to be £42.50. So if you spend, £4,250, you're going to get 100 conversions or whatever that works out at. So, and you're like, you're setting yourself up for failure. You're shooting yourself massively in the foot. Now, I'd hope any client that was spending decent money is going to get a massive ROI, but that ROI doesn't have to be a specific amount of conversions. That is wrong on the salesman's part, because they're just giving bullshit out. It's all about, if a guy spends $1,000, does he make 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 or whatever, and has to continue to do that over and over again. So it's not about estimating results. Try it and see what the results are. And, they could be massively more than you would ever dream. It might, go some way short of what the client expects, but then the client can then give themselves those projections if that's what they want to do, but never come from you, because you're just lining yourself up to be slaughtered when you don't hit them, and fired, and all of that stuff. So let's say
expectation, and then however you can let them see the process or behind the scenes of what you're doing. Here's what I'm doing with you, for you. Just be very, very upfront and set the expectations is where I found the best, builds more of a rapport, really. Because once you get the rapport, then if there is failures, it's a lot easier to tell them, so because you're going to run into trouble sometimes. You can't win every time. I can't, it's just how it goes.
Yeah. Do you want to share a niche website you've worked on, Chris, that someone wants to follow it?
No.
Share some of your money websites. Come on.
I share one. You can go to boobeam.com. I already gave that one.
So check that one out. For me, I wouldn't be giving out money websites. I am doing a live case study on a domain called awaygrounds.com. That has literally just been put up. It's not even designed properly. But going in from January, we're going to be adding content links and going through basically a case study of ranking that particular website. Now, I'm doing that live with a couple of other people, purely so that we've got some information, stuff that people can follow. The reason many people don't share their niche websites is we don't want people nosing around, reverse engineering our stuff, neg SEO on this stuff. So that's why you see a lot of digital marketers are not interested in sharing what they do or what their money websites are. But obviously, Chris has shared one. I will be sharing one, at the turn of the year, once we've got actually some traction on it. And you can follow the progress of that. And I'm sure I'll be doing live shows on it as well, just giving you guys updates and stuff. But there you go. So Alejandro, what is the best way to build links for local SEO? I've noticed a lot of local SEO competitors barely have any links.
Yeah, if for local, one of the very first, let's say the first 3 months of a campaign, obviously we're building out content. But one of the very first things that we're implementing as far as off page is going to be social, the Web2 branded, press release, and mass citations. So I'd be focusing on PR press releases from outlets for each of the keywords that you're trying to target. So that would be my primary for local, what I'd be trying to pump out. That's me. That's what I like to do. It's effective. It works. It's cheap. It's fast. And it's white hat.
Yeah. There's not much else you can say. That's the kind of stuff you want to do. If you're wanting to rank locally, you'll find that that's all you need to do locally as well, because no one's doing that much in the grand scheme of things. Even Shaprio, how do you know what type of links and how many of them you build for a site to reach your goal? My competitors have super spammy links and no PBNs, but still rank for some medium competition keywords.
Yeah, it's if you need to visualize it and come to a count in your mind, go to your top competitor and look at anything TrustFlow 30 or plus. Those are the links that matter. Trust flow 30 plus, how many do they have? Then go out and build that many.
Yeah.
And then, make yourself a plan. How many they have? 30. Okay. So I'm going to build 3 a week for 10 weeks. That's one way to look at it, but I don't really look at it that way. But I do look at how many trust flow 30 pluses do they have? That's giving me my deciding idea, because a site might have 10,000 links, but they only have 30 good links. That's what matters.
And you beat with 30 good links. It's a quality game rather than quantity.
Absolutely.
So a lot of those links are probably not passing any value whatsoever, and probably not even always relevant. So, yeah, I agree with Chris on that. Zeno Poster, is that still worth it, Chris? Do you still use that tool?
I don't use that tool. I know that that's highly regarded by Holly Starks. But I don't use it. I looked at it and I never use it, so I can't say. I have no idea.
I've not used it for many years. That is one of the oldest tools that are probably around, Zeno Poster, and I'm sure it probably does have some kind of impact if used correctly, but I don't personally use that one. So at the moment, so I couldn't tell you whether it's still that effective.
I'm playing around with Mass Page Creator off of a recommendation from Holly. I'm like, hey, what would you use? And she's like, I'd use this. And I'm like, hey, this is pretty cool. I'm playing with that a little bit, a lot of it actually.
Yeah.
Hey, what if I launch 20,000 pages for all these keywords and I don't do any SEO? How many can I rank? That's really what I'm looking at. And
it's frightening how many actually do rank. That's the fucking weird thing about it. So,
interesting, isn't it?
Yes, very much so. And what I'd also say on that as well with the mass page thing is, although Ahrefs or SEMrush will tell you there's no search volume for a keyword in an area, does not mean it gets no leads and no traffic. That they don't go that granular into these areas. I know guys that do mass page that, if you look at Ahrefs or SEMrush, it will show hardly any traffic, and these guys are getting 150 leads a day because all of that traffic is coming from keywords that are not on the data sets that these guys have. So just bear that in mind, guys. Anyway, we'll not talk too much about that. Sorry, my question sent before I finished. I mean, fresh new domain. So what steps would you take? Start with foundation links, then PBNs, PR, Web 2.0, social signals, blah, 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 blah. And what time frames do you use? So that was a question earlier.
I made a video on this. Actually, I called it the 60-day off-page strategy, I think. It was a 2-part video. But the long story short of it is this. Social profiles, send links to the social profiles, 1 PBN to the homepage. You're going to launch your 10 pieces of pillar content probably. I'd send a link to each of those. And then I'd send out my branded or service-based or whatever niche you're in, Web 2s to get my brand, really encapsulated, do all the Web 2s, the socials. That's pretty much it. Watch the video. You'll like it.
Check out Chris's channel, Chris Palmer SEO on YouTube. He's got all sorts of weird and wonderful videos showing you all sorts of different little things. So a lot of value over there. So check it out and check that shit out. Stephen Shapiro's going to blame his imaginary VA for stealing the image trick. Told it could leave snips. So Alt Delta, I was thinking of PBNs, keyword linking to my money sites. I was told that it could leave significant footprints. Could. If you leave them footprints, be careful with PBNs, but it could leave a footprint. It could not if you do the job properly. And the job with PBNs is to avoid leaving those stupid footprints, and they can work very well, but be careful. Do not create a big hoo-ha around about your stuff and it's all interlinked and linking all into all your money pages, because that can be dangerous. So
yeah, and be careful with those links.
Yeah,
PBN links that you could just go buy just because it says, DR 50 or whatever, careful.
Careful. Yeah, you could be buying a DR5.
Yeah.
We have Hody is saying, Chris, do you have a course on how to add the image to a GMB just like the one in your GMB? And also, do you have anything on how to claim unclaimed GMBs?
I don't. No, I do not. I don't
think
know.
The problem, I'll answer this for Chris.
Sure.
The end part. We can't really show people how to ruin another man's business by going in and claiming their GMBs. There would be hell to pay if you were to release a video that says that. You would become blackballed, you know, in the community potentially and stuff like that. So that's why you probably find that there's not a lot of people talking about it. Maybe ask a local GMB guy when you're in person, and they may be more open to telling you. But again, you need to be careful what you're saying, because people use it, and we know it's a dog-eat-dog world, but we also have to be careful that people don't come after you saying, Chris Palmer's a wanker, he's fucking done this, and he's ruined this guy's business, and God knows how many businesses have been ruined as a result of that. So we need to be careful on that.
Exactly. There's a lot of things I know how to do that I don't, you know, just some things you just don't, you know, just come on, you know.
I don't even know what an unclaimed GMB is. What is that?
I have no idea either.
I'm only kidding. So Craig should start a roasting channel. Maybe I should, man. We've got a lot of ideas of things I could roast. We are out of time though. We're 2 minutes over. We do have a lot more questions that are there, but I'm trying to see if there's anything that's that important. Though it's a lot of comments. Digital Market is there for the press releases. Paul Hogden has got 63 search terms ranked in 6 weeks, thanks to what he has learned from us.
Cool.
So there's a lot of good stuff there. We have one final one.
Okay.
A question for Chris. Who do you think is the TikTok king?
And who are we talking about here? We're talking about between Craig and Matt Diggity? Because, I mean, I don't think, if we're talking about creativity and more fun and better, I give it to Craig. If we're talking about spend money to have a video created, then I give it to Matt. But I think as far as creativity and more fun, I have to give it to Craig.
Yeah, and I think it was TikTok. There was no, when we entered that competition, we were dancing, doing stupid stuff. Matt went away and got a professional video done. Yeah. So, I mean, that's not TikTok, really, is it? I mean, that's just cheating. And that's what go back and tell Diggity is a massive cheat, and I'm the TikTok king, because he doesn't like that shit, man. He does not like that shit. But that is us for this week. Yeah. We will be back again, normal time next week, 5 p.m. I will have no other little things in the way. Not sure how that one slipped under the radar today, but it is what it is. But do check out Chris Palmer on YouTube, Chris Palmer SEO. Do give us a like and subscribe on here as well. Do make sure that you go and take advantage of my free SEO course. It's going to be really in-depth and is going to blow everything out of the water. And do check out odys.cc if you want a free £100 bonus for an aged or done for you, an aged domain or a done for you affiliate website. I'm out of breath now, man. This is so there you go. But thanks very much, guys, and thank you, Chris, as always, for being.
Craig.
Cheers.
Have a good day, everybody. Goodbye.